Pro wrestling has given us some of the most iconic and memorable characters in entertainment history, but not every idea is a winner. Sometimes the creative minds behind the scenes come up with gimmicks that leave fans scratching their heads in confusion or cringing in embarrassment. Let's dive into some of the stupidest gimmicks in pro wrestling history, starting with Natalya's flatulence gimmick. Natalya, a member of the legendary Hart family and a former champion, was unfortunately given a gimmick so crude and unfunny that it left fans bewildered. Known for her in-ring prowess, she was reduced to a character whose main trait was uncontrollable gas. The gimmick was mercifully short-lived, but it left a mark on her career that fans haven't forgotten. Next, we have Orlando Jordan's stint in TNA, where his persona involves sensually squirting lotion on himself in the middle of the ring. While wrestling often pushes boundaries, this gimmick crossed the line from provocative to just plain uncomfortable. Fans were left confused and cringing, making it one of the most notorious gimmicks to ever hit the squared circle. Then there's Beaver Cleavage, inspired by the classic TV show Leave It to Beaver. This character featured sexual innuendos involving his mother, which made audiences feel awkward and bewildered. The gimmick was so poorly received that it was scrapped after just a few weeks, proving that not all nostalgia-based ideas are good ones. The introduction of fake Diesel and Razor Ramon is another infamous misstep. WW believed that the gimmicks, not the wrestlers, were what mattered, leading to the introduction of fake versions of these iconic characters. Fans saw through it immediately, and the gimmick flopped spectacularly. This legal maneuver did more harm than good, underscoring that sometimes you just can't replace the original. Joey Ryan's sleazy gimmick as a mustachioed wrestler who used his anatomy to win matches was divisive, to say the least. While some found it humorous, many others were deeply uncomfortable, and in light of later allegations against him, the gimmick is seen as even more problematic. Comedy and wrestling can work, but Joey Ryan's character crossed lines and left a bad taste in many fans' mouths. Another career-damaging gimmick was the Red Rooster, assigned to Terry Taylor. Sporting a red mohawk and strutting like a rooster, this character did nothing but damage his credibility and career. The Red Rooster serves as a prime example of how a bad gimmick can kill a wrestler's potential. Bastion Booger, a character whose entire gimmick was being grotesque, wore tattered singlets and acted repulsively. This gimmick was more likely to make fans lose their lunch than enjoy the show, setting a new standard for bad gimmicks. The Gobbledy Gooker, who debuted at Survivor Series 1990, was meant to be a fun surprise but ended up being one of the most ridiculed moments in wrestling history. The character has since become a symbol of wrestling gimmicks gone wrong, proving that not every idea can take flight. Eugene was a character meant to be a tribute to a real-life superfan with special needs, but the execution left much to be desired. Portrayed as having incredible in-ring ability but with a childlike demeanor, the gimmick walked a fine line between homage and offensive stereotype. While some found it endearing, others saw it as exploitative, making Eugene one of the most controversial gimmicks ever. What other bizarre Thanksgiving-themed wrestling gimmicks do you think would be even crazier than the Gobbledy Gooker? Next, we have the Ding Dongs, a tag team whose gimmick involved wearing bells on their costumes and ringing a bell during their matches. This gimmick was an unmitigated disaster and a perfect example of an idea that never should have made it past the brainstorming stage. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more wrestling content. Pro wrestling has seen its fair share of bizarre and downright ridiculous gimmicks over the years. While some have been merely forgettable, others have cemented their place in the annals of wrestling history for all the wrong reasons. Let's take a look at some more of the stupidest gimmicks that left fans wondering, what were they thinking? Next up is Mantor, a wrestler who donned a costume resembling a minotaur, complete with horns and fur. The idea of a man-beast hybrid might have worked in mythology, but in the wrestling ring it looked absurd. The gimmick failed to resonate with fans, and Mantor quickly faded into obscurity. Next, there's the Shockmaster, a character whose debut is infamous for all the wrong reasons. Wearing a glittery stormtrooper helmet and tripping over a piece of wood during his grand entrance, the Shockmaster's botched debut became a legendary blooper. Despite attempts to salvage the character, the initial impression was too strong, and he never recovered from that disastrous first appearance. The Repo Man was another gimmick that left fans scratching their heads. Portrayed as a sneaky, mischievous repossession agent, he would sneak around and repossess items from other wrestlers. While the concept might have had some comedic potential, the execution was laughably bad, and the character never gained any real traction. Isaac Yankem, DDS, was a gimmick given to Glenn Jacobs before he found success as Kane. As the evil dentist, Yankem's character was supposed to instill fear, but instead it induced groans and laughter. The idea of a villainous dentist was simply too far-fetched and ridiculous to be taken seriously. Aldo Montoya, the Portuguese Man-O' War, is another prime example of a gimmick that missed the mark. Wearing a bright yellow jockstrap on his head, Aldo Montoya was supposed to be a high-flying sensation. However, the ludicrous costume overshadowed any potential in-ring talent, and the character was quickly discarded. The Spirit Squad, a group of male cheerleaders, also deserves a mention. Comprised of 5 wrestlers who performed as overly enthusiastic cheerleaders, the gimmick was met with derision. While the members were talented, the gimmick was too over the top and failed to connect with the audience. The Boogeyman, a character who ate live worms and tried to scare his opponents with his grotesque appearance, was another bizarre creation. While some fans found him entertaining, many others found the gimmick revolting and silly. The Boogeyman's antics were more likely to make fans turn away in disgust than cheer. Then there was Glacier, a character clearly inspired by the video game Mortal Kombat's Sub-Zero. With a blue and white costume and an elaborate entrance involving fake snow, Glacier's debut was heavily hyped. However, the character never lived up to the expectations, and fans quickly lost interest. The Kiss Demon, a wrestler inspired by the rock band Kiss, was another failed gimmick. While the idea of merging rock music and wrestling might have seemed intriguing, the execution was lackluster. The Kiss Demon never achieved any significant success, and the character was eventually dropped. Finally, there's Duke the Dumpster Droz, a wrestling garbage man. The idea of a wrestler with a day job isn't new, but a garbage man gimmick seemed particularly uninspired. While Droz had some memorable moments, the gimmick itself was too limiting and ultimately failed to make a lasting impact. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the stupidest gimmicks in pro wrestling history. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more wrestling content.